Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and this week's videos have been notably absent, as some of you might have noticed. Let me just say that I haven't been ill, nothing else is wrong, it just happened to be a busy week at the day job, it happens to all of us. But that's neither here nor there. Today I want to spend some time discussing Skyrim together and some of the recent news surrounding that team of developers, and some statements that could be considered to be disconcerting and potentially hostile in nature. As is now a tradition on my channel, we'll run through the facts to the best of my ability without any excess editorialization, and then for those interested, I will provide my own commentary on the situation as it has been presented here. Links, as always, will be in the description down below, and if you enjoy these videos, consider dropping a like and comment to feed the algorithm, and if you're feeling extra generous, consider buying me a coffee or Ko-Fi or whatever at ko-fi.com/SidAlpha. Link is down below. Now, for those of you that are not aware of the group that I'm talking about, Skyrim Together is a team of people that are working on a multiplayer mod for Skyrim. The team does have a Patreon that is currently earning the team over $18,000 per month, and per that Patreon page, the team hopes to have a stable version of the mod released at some point this year. A month ago, I was made aware of, but was unable to report on, a controversy surrounding Skyrim Together, as it was alleged by one of the Skyrim script extender creators that Skyrim Together was stealing their code, stating, quote, "Skyrim Together is stealing SKSE code, uncredited, without permission, with an explicit term in the license restricting one of the authors from having anything to do with the code, who denies using any of it." And they posted a link to a statement made by Max G. Riot? Max, we'll call him Max, in which Max said, "We aren't using SKSE at all, but the mod will be able to be loaded by SKSE's loader." A scant 2 hours after the Reddit post accusation made by the SKSE developer, Max responded with his own post on the forums discussing various legal concerns. In regards to the SKSE code, he said, "We have had disagreements with the SKSE folks in the past. I have tried to communicate with them, but they have never replied, so we stopped using their code. There might be some leftover code from them in there that was overlooked when we removed it. It isn't as simple as just deleting a folder, mainly our fault because we rushed some parts of the code. Anyway, we are going to make sure to remove what might have slipped through the cracks for the next patch." In response to that, the SKSE developers summarized their statement as, they had started using SKSE code, then asked for permission after the fact. They never got permission to use SKSE and Skyrim Together, continued using it, eventually removed part of it, yet somehow left some of the code behind, continued to charge for access the entire time, and then promised to clean up a now license-tainted project. And the Reddit user EnderAndrew42 responded with, "Then they claimed they moved to libskyrim, which is built upon SKSE, so they're still using your code and violated your license. They also didn't get permission from the libskyrim team and still have no credits page. When called out for it, they attacked paying fans, saying we should be the ones to make a credits page for them because a credits text file would be so much work. And getting $35,000 a month isn't enough incentive for them to give proper credit." And that brings us to the most recent news surrounding Skyrim Together. As per this article posted on PC Games Network by Ali Jones, in the article they discuss a Reddit post that was removed by the Skyrim Together subreddit moderators, raising the question, is something going to happen? In the news article, it stated, Max responded telling the original poster that we don't owe the community anything, and that updates are posted only if we feel like spending time doing it. He, meaning Max, follows up by saying that the team is not making this for the community, and that the community has been so toxic we even considered saying fuck it and giving up, or continuing but never releasing anything to the public. We are making this for ourselves because we think it's a very fun project to work on and we learn a ton doing this. People leaving is the least of our concern, as they will come back when it's released. We aren't trying to build a community. Please let us be and do things the way we want. And as stated previously, Skyrim Together is currently raising over $18,000 per month from over 17,000 backers to fund the creation of the game and to pay for the infrastructure needed. And that's the information we have to work with. And I have to say, I find a hard time siding with either party here. Now, first of all, I think we do have to spend a moment discussing the license rights surrounding Skyrim's script extender. Now, obviously, I'm not an attorney, so I could very well be wrong, but when it comes to mods and modder tools such as these, I'm pretty sure that the SKSE team don't actually own the rights to the content they're making, as it is being made specifically for someone else's copyright. I'm pretty sure they would only be able to retain a license for their toolset only if Bethesda provided them with a proper license to develop code for their copyright. As they don't actually own the mod they've made, they absolutely have to be prepared for the eventuality that someone will come along and make use of their hard work and use it for their own benefit. Now, I do understand that those two teams don't exactly get along, and using someone else's work without being properly accredited is an extremely dick move, but from a legal standpoint in that regard, Skyrim Together did nothing wrong. That said, Skyrim Together is only in the right in a strict technical sense based in legality, from what I can gather. From a moral and ethical standpoint, they were very clearly in the wrong. Using someone else's work without even so much as crediting them is a dick move, and it is a form of theft, regardless of whether you have a legal capacity to do so or not. It is completely deplorable that they would do so, lie about it, and then attempt to doublespeak their way out of it. There's nothing wrong with crediting someone else's work. There's nothing wrong with at least giving a tip of the hat for someone whose tools you were using for your own product, and it is a product that helps you along. The simple fact that they refuse to do so speaks volumes about their own character and moral fiber than it does the SKSE creators. Now, the Skyrim Together dev, Max, stated that they have considered not releasing anything to the public and keeping the mod for themselves, and they are not trying to build a community. Alright. Now, what about those over 17,000 people supporting your asses on Patreon? 18,000 per month isn't exactly what I would call chump change for a video game mod that's being developed in your spare time. The Skyrim Together Patreon makes their project absolutely crowdfunded in nature, which means those 17,000 people very much will be expecting, and rightfully so, a finished product. If you want to give up and just make it for yourselves, that's fine. Thank your patrons, delete your Patreon, and do that. I get that communities can be toxic. It happens all the time. That's life. We all get it as part of a territory of having any form of audience of any appreciable size. The statement that Max made there shows that they do not at all understand this and that they don't feel they owe anyone, including their Patreon supporters, a thing, which I cannot agree with. Those people are paying a very large sum of money on a monthly basis with the understanding that a product will be delivered. To threaten access to that product under the basis of factors that are beyond their control is something you just don't do. Crowdfunding carries with it a lot of dangers. A developer could simply run out of money and resources to be able to finish. A developer could run into a situation where they just aren't up to the task and can't deliver on the product as promised. That sort of thing happens all the time. Hell, the rate of failed early access games are still about 50%, to say nothing of other crowdfunded projects. But to threaten to withhold the mod from everyone, which includes the Patreon supporters, is disgusting. Now, granted, there's always the possibility that something might have been taken out of context, but in this instance, even if some of their statements were taken out of context, the implications behind the statements made regardless of context are disconcerting to say the least. And I would ask everyone to remember this. These guys have to either release this mod for everyone or keep it to themselves completely. Legally, they cannot retain the mod just for them and Patreon backers. The reason that is the case is because if they lock it down for just Patreon supporters only, they would be directly trading access to their mod in exchange for monetary gain, which would be a huge copyright violation. And as Bethesda has been very modder-friendly in the past, they're also a very litigious company, and if you start making money off of their product, which Skyrim Together is already walking a molecule-thin line already if they haven't already crossed over into illegality, Bethesda will not stand idly by and tolerate that sort of situation. So what's it to be? Well, they have three options. The first, release it for everyone. A few harsh words on the internet should not dissuade these developers from releasing a mod that, for all intents and purposes, is being bought and paid for by over 17,000 Patreon supporters. The second option, they keep it to themselves. This would be a scummy move and would be a giant middle finger to that great many people that have been paying over $18K on a monthly basis. The third option is to keep it for themselves and their Patreon supporters, which would ultimately end up with a lawsuit and Bethesda likely forcing them to completely eradicate the mod, meaning those Patreon supporters would also end up getting the short end of the stick again. Ultimately, there is only one path towards a positive outcome here, and it is one that these modders have stated that they already considered abandoning over mean people on the internet saying mean things about them. For their statements and their actions towards others within the modding community, the Skyrim Together developers have shown they don't play well with others and they don't give credit where credit is properly due. There were statements made that the devs said the community should write up the credits for them. For their statements regarding the community, the modders stated outright that they have considered abandoning the community they state they very clearly do not want to begin with. Well, that would also require abandoning the Patreon supporters as well. There's no way around that from a legal standpoint. The Skyrim Together has earned their new residence within the not-so-hallowed halls of the dirty devs. Everything I've seen regarding this group is nothing but conceit and arrogance and malice. If I were a Patreon supporter of them, I would give serious thought about reconsidering my patronage. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.